Good evening. Good evening, Cerrito residents and the member of our community. I call to order the April 29, 2024 special meeting of City and Success Agency of City Council. The invocation will be led by Ryan Clement, Associate Pastor of New Life Community Church. And then the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Troop 693. We all stand.
Good evening, council and staff and residents, guests. It's an honor to lead the invocation prayer. Let's pray. God, we thank you so much for a special night of so many awards and celebrations. Just getting to honor people who are working so hard to accomplish so much. God, we thank you for all the opportunities that we have for so many to excel in the Scouts, God, to celebrate MUN and soccer and local businesses, God. Tonight is a night to really celebrate you, to celebrate the amazing people in this room and that they represent. We're so grateful for this council. We're so grateful for amazing residents and programs, the leaders of these programs who work so hard to give these students and kids and community members opportunities. God, we thank you for those who work so hard, who serve you, who serve their community, who serve one another. We pray your blessing over this meeting. We pray your blessing over the council, over the comments, over the contracts awarded tonight, over the discussions, over the comments. We pray that there'd be a spirit of unity and encouragement in this place, that you would help us to be of like mind and like heart and on the same page, to work through any challenges well together with grace. God, help us to build one another up and help us to honor you, not only in this meeting, but everything we do beyond this meeting, God. So we give you thanks for your great blessing in this wonderful city and in this community. And we pray that you would help us to share that blessing with others that we come across at school, God, at work, amongst the city and beyond. Help us to be a blessing to others. We just give you thanks. Amen.
Have a Troop 693 for a pledge.
Thank you for allowing us to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. May the audience please put their right hand over their heart and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. All be seated. Madam Clerk, will you conduct the roll call?
Council and Agency Member Barrows.
Present.
Council and Agency Member Johnson.
Present.
Council and Agency Member Yokoyama.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem and Vice Chair Vo.
Present.
Mayor and Chair Solanki.
Present. Next, we have is a presentation. Before the presentation, like to thank you all for attendance at tonight's meeting. State law and our local rules do not support the use of profanity, hateful speech, or conduct the disrupt conduct of business in such event. I will issue an initial warning and, if necessary, call for recess to resolve the order. If any unlawful disruption of the meeting continues after being given a warning, after a recess to restore order, the council chamber may cleared, or person who continues to unlawfully disturb the meeting may be required to leave, as allowed by the state law. Public comment should be directed to the city council and made only from the podium during your turn. Please respect each speaker and refrain from any disruptive behavior or speech during their comments time. Madam City Clerk, will you please provide additional information about the public comments?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Prior to the meeting, the council and agency received full text, unredacted copies of the 5 written comments submitted for this meeting by the deadline listed on the agenda. Requests for copies of written comments can be made to the Office of the City Clerk Treasurer during regular business hours. The mayor will open public comments at the appropriate times on the agenda. Please be prepared to approach the podium and begin your comments at the time you are called. This concludes the public comment information for this meeting, and the meeting is now returned to the mayor to continue to the presentations.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, the following presentation will be made by City Council tonight. First we have is the Eagle Scout Troop 693. And rather than me reading their bio, I think I would like to have them come up here and read their bio, if they don't mind. We have been Eagle Scout 693, the rank of Eagle Scout awarded to only 4% of all Boy Scout of America members. It is the highest award that can be earned in Boy Scouting. This evening, the City of Cerritos will recognize 5 members of Troop 693 who have achieved their great honor through their hard work, perseverance, and dedication. The following Eagle Scout are completed outstanding projects which are identified as follows: Ben Giordano, Nathan Lee, Nicholas Lee, Jay Parikh, Shay Perma, Brendan Rahi, Samarthi Sethi, and Devin Solanki. So I'd like to have one scout at a time. I'll have Ben Giordano first. Congratulations again. I know I did present this to you on Saturday, but if you'd like to say how you achieved your Eagle Scout.
My name is Ben Giordano. I first joined scouting as a 6th grader. My Eagle project was painting the armored personnel carrier at the Los Alamitos Joint Forces Training Base Military Museum. It was a 4-day-long project. We painted it from deputy black to military green, and now it is the first project of a handful of other historical monuments being refurbished.
Congratulations, and here's your proclamation. I'd like to have my city council can join me.
Mayor,
We'll do it first, then I'll wait. Okay, this time I'd see if you would like to invite your family and would like to take a picture with you. Congratulations. Invite your family. Whoever will get it. They got it? Okay. Oh, sorry, council can come back.
I was just done.
Should I take your spot?
two, three. One more, one, two, three.
Okay, next card we have is Nathan Lee. Congratulations, Nathan. You want me to read this or you want to say?
I could say it. So basically, I planted 115 agapanthus at the Cerritos Ironwood Golf Course. And if you go there, if you look towards like the front of the golf course, you would see my agapanthus that were planted.
Congratulations, and here's your proclamation. I'd like to invite City Council. And then if you want to invite your family, you can come and take a picture.
Three photos. Ready, one, two, three. Two, three. One more, one, two, three.
Congratulations, raise your parents. Would like to invite your family.
Oh, yeah, yes. Thank you.
It worked out, huh? Yeah. I don't think I ever met you. Oh, yeah. First girl. Oh. Eagle Scout. Awesome. Three more photos, please. One, two, three. One, two, three. One more, one, two, three.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Next we have Nicholas Lee. Nicole Lee. Oh, first girl now. Congratulations. Would you like to say something?
Hello, my name is Nicole Lee, and I was one of the first girls in my troop with 5 other ones to found Troop 693G. And my Eagle project was at CPE near the track and the tennis courts. Along the pathway, I helped do a beautification project to plant some trees and smaller plants. Thank you.
Congratulations, City Council.
Oh, you just want to. Yeah, there you go. All right.
Come down next to the sister. Come down, son.
Yep. Come here. Hey, Dad, come here. You get the center. Get the center. It's good. It's good. It's good. Thank you.
Three more photos. One, two, three. One, two, three. One more, one, two, three.
Congratulations. Next we have Jay Parikh. Congratulations.
My name is Jay Parikh. I started scouting in 5th grade, and it's been a fun 7 years. My project was at AJ Paddleford Park, where I restored a garden and renovated a playground.
Congratulations, City Council.
One, two, three. One, two, three. One, two, three.
Invite your family member.
Okay. Three photos. Ready, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations. Next we have is Shay Pema. Congratulations again.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shay, and I began scouting in 7th grade. And then for my Eagle Scout project, we built a water conservation garden at Huntington Beach Central Park, which served as kind of like a habitat for animals migrating through the area, and also allowed for the people to see some sort of beauty in the area. Thank you.
Congratulations. Let's take a photo. Invite your family member.
Three photos. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Next we have is Brandon Rahi. Congratulations again.
Hello, my name is Brandon Ree. I started scouting back as a Weeblo Scout. My Eagle project, I did a conservation beautification project at Central Huntington Park East, where I planted some trees as well as some plants and overall just beautified the whole area. So thank you.
Congratulations. Family? Okay.
I'm sorry. It's all right. All good. Okay. 3 more photos here. Ready, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations. Next we have is Samrat Sethi. Congratulations.
Yeah, so I joined scouting in the 3rd grade, and my Eagle project was I made type 1 diabetic supply kits I made 100 type 1 diabetic supply bags and 50 supply bags and 100 bracelets for type 1 diabetic youth. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you. 3 more photos. Ready, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations.
Last but not least, Devan Solanki. Congratulations.
Thank you. My name is Devin Solanki. I started scouting in 5th grade, and I had my project at Nixon Academy, where I restored their garden, made about 11 safety signs, and painted their quad lunch area.
Congratulations. By the way, he's also my nephew.
Where do you get his height from, Nash?
Ready, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3.
All right, family.
Mom and dad.
Three photos. Ready, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3.
Seriously, like, where's he get his height from? He's taller than all of you guys.
How are you? Good to see you.
No, congratulations.
How are you?
Oh.
Congratulations.
See you down.
Next we have is the Ayana Putt Girl Scout Gold Award. Cerrito resident Ayana Putt is be commended for earning the Gold Award in the Girl Scouting. The Girl Scout Gold Award is the highest level of recognize a girls may attain in Girl Scouting and recognize the Girl Scouting outstanding achievement in the service and leadership. Ayana Putt's Gold Award project involves organizing and planning the historical journey of Cerrito's project. She researched the development an online interactive historical walking tour of Cerrito's map highlighting landmarks in city. She also produced a paper version of map with QR code that links to online map. She also conducted a walking tour to historical site for 72 people. This project demonstrated Ayana Putt's organizing ability and concern of the others. So Ayana Putt, congratulations.
First, I want to thank the City Council, of course, for awarding me with this. I want to thank the city staff, especially Ms. Annie Hilton, for helping me implement this project. And I want to thank the Cerritos residents for being the reason I can call this project a success. A little bit about why I wanted to focus on Cerritos for my project. Cerritos is my hometown, of course. It's been my family's hometown for nearly half a decade now. And I have a great appreciation for this city. It's my pride and joy. I really enjoyed my childhood, and I think a lot of that was because of my family being from here. I knew the history of Cerritos, and I wanted to share my pride with the future generation, especially the students. And so I also worked on implementing this curriculum of learning about the history in elementary schools, and I spoke with principals about that. It's something they're willing to do. A little bit about Girl Scouts itself. The Gold Award is not as known as the Eagle Scout Award, and I really want to change that narrative. I think it's really important. The one thing Girl Scouts has taught me for sure is resilience in the face of adversity, in the face of people telling you, oh, I wasn't expecting that from a Girl Scout, and I really want to change that. And I think it's really important that now, because of me, when you guys see a Girl Scout, you don't initially just ask them about their cookies, but you ask them about what experiences they have and what they're doing in their troop, because it's so much more. There are 3 highest awards in Girl Scouts, the bronze, silver, and gold, and our cookie sales fund those projects. That's what they're for. It's not just to sell cookies for fun, but it's for community service projects that are gonna be with the community for a lifetime. They're gonna be sustained, and it's gonna teach these girls to be the future leaders of tomorrow. And that's what I'm here to do, and I hope you guys can also help me change this narrative. But thank you for this, and thank you for this opportunity.
Congratulations, very well spoken, very well. Council colleagues.
come down for this? I'm gonna give him a hard time.
He's yeah. He has a late class on Monday. That's why he said I couldn't make it in traffic.
Giving your son a hard time for not being here.
Jay, bye. Come on. It's okay.
Thank you. That's why they're here. Yeah.
I'm doing so man. Watch your step, watch your step, watch your step. Come on in. We'll be in the back. You guys in front. Mom, you should be in the front. You know, Mom, you got
Mom gets a picture.
Okay.
Honor, what are you?
I'm a bass and tenor. I really am.
You can still watch.
Okay.
Thank you.
There you go.
One more, 1, 2, 5.
Thank you. Thank you.
She did all right. She did all right.
All right, next we have the Artesia High School Girls Soccer CIF champions. The City of Cerritos takes a great pride in honoring the Artesia High School Girls Girls Soccer team for winning CIF Southern Section Division VII Championship. The team had an overall record of 24-3. So I don't know, I guess 20 is win and 4 is tie. 3 is a loss. 4 loss, okay. In the regular season, before defeating the Marantha at 1-0, and penalty kick in overtime of winning the championship. For that, congratulations. Coach, would you like to say something? Let the girls come in. Come on, all. Come on. Don't be shy here. Come on, all down here. Who's the captain? She is? All right, you hold it. You're captain. There you go. Go down first. You can go forward. Captain stays in the front. There you go.
Swing over. Swing over more.
Come. Girls, go a little bit further. One more over. There you go. Wonderful. Also, I would like to come and bring back.
Thank you. I wanted to first thank Mayor. Thank you for having us. City, thank you for having us. It's truly an honor to be here. Cerritos is a soccer city, so many players and coaches have came from the city of Cerritos. So we're privileged to be here. Many of our players, our student athletes, our city of Cerritos residents. Many of them started their soccer career journey at the city of Cerritos, either be it through the youth program or AYSO. So again, we want to thank the city for valuing soccer. So we appreciate that. And especially want to thank Jill Toda for inviting us this past summer to work a soccer clinic, a soccer camp for them, for the city. So we want to thank her for that. And then also we did a soccer clinic last March as well. And we're looking forward to running another camp this summer for the city. So we want to thank the city for that opportunity. So thank you. And me personally as well, I've coached, volunteered for the city with soccer, the youth program as well. So again, I want to highlight the youth sports here for the city. So thank you very much for having us. We have a great young group. We had a historic season this year where we won our first CF championship for girls soccer. So it was a highlight of our year for our students. And this is just the foundation of what's to come. So thank you very much.
Five photos. Ready. You want to see me okay? Ready. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 5. Congratulations, coach. Thank you. Nice job. Great job.
Next we have is the Cerrito High School Model United Nation team. A proclamation will be presented to the Cerrito High School Model United Nation team, Junior, for its performance at the 50th Annual National High School Model United Nations Conference in New York, held from March 13 through 16, 2024. The team received an award of excellent in database and award in excellent research and program preparation. Who's the champion here? You are? All get lined up like that. So you can go over there. Go in the front, go in the front. Don't be shy. Go, go. Move up, move up. Move up, move up, move up, move up. Squeeze, squeeze. Move up. It's okay. We're all trained. We're all trained. 200, yeah. Why are you still down here? Yes, I do. David, I'm sorry. One more row in the front. Move closer in the front row. Go more down. More go down. Go down. More go down. More go down. Go down. Go down. I'm gonna stay up here. The other couch in the front. Go down.
Howard, crouch down.
Literally practice. Literally practice. Keep coming, young ladies.
On your knees.
Get down, maybe.
It's at the crowd. I think they should crouch too.
All right, next we have is the business spotlight. Lawan Skincare. The city of Cerritos showcase a local business every month to foster pride in Cerritos' thriving business community and a strong local economy. A proclamation will be presented in Lawan Skincare for being selected as a part of the city's business recognition program, founded in 2006. Lawan Skincare is a minority woman-owned business that has been a part of the Cerritos community for over 15 years. Named after her daughter, Lawan Skincare was founded by entrepreneur Cecile. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher you. So, you know. Danagan, who originally established her beauty business in Philippines and desired to provoke skincare service to those thriving in Cerritos. Lawan Skincare provides service to clients including facial, skincare treatment, eyelashes, brow treatment. Lawan Skincare has developed their own comprehensive brand of natural biotechnic-based skincare product with proven effective ingredient, which are designed to treat a variety of skincare needs, such as acne, aging skin, and pigmentation. Whether an individual is seeking a facial expert advice on skin care routine or premium beauty product, the staff member at Skincare are ready to meet client needs. Lawan Skincare is located at 18327 Gridley Road, Suite I, Cerritos 90703. Their phone number is 562-402-7546. Their operating hours are Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sunday by appointments only. Their website is www.la1skincare.com. With that, would you please join me to accept the proclamation? Congratulations, and I would like to present you the proclamation. Would you like to say anything about your business?
She will take care of it. Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Lavon Danganon, and this is my mother, Cecile. She is the founder of Lavon Skincare. Lavon Skincare is our family business, and we are honored to have our business spotlighted for the city of Cerritos. Lavon Skincare has been dedicated to providing quality skincare services for over 15 years. Our business has represented skincare and beauty, but it has also represented family, determination, and community. Thank you again for the City of Cerritos for supporting and acknowledging our family's business, and we are looking forward to serving this community for many more years. Thank you.
Congratulations. My council colleague would like to join the photo op.
Congratulations. Thank you. So much. Yep. Thank you. Congrats. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have is the recognition of service to Lut Freedom Ring Committee member Joel M. Ilau. Council member Linda Johnson will be presenting a plaque to the Lut Freedom Ring Committee member Joel M. Ilau in recognition of his service.
Joelle. On behalf of the mayor and the council colleagues, I'd like to present this plaque to you in appreciation for your dedicated service to the city of Cerritos on the Let Freedom Ring Committee from December 2022 to March 2024. And you have your name and all of the names of the mayor and council on there. Thank you so much.
This is cool.
And, you know, on a personal, I just want to say that Joel has been such a dedicated person on our committee, and he's also a dedicated family man, to husband and wife, and he is very dedicated to his job. So unfortunately, because of work conflicts, he's unable to continue his service, but we do hope to see you around. Thank you.
Thank you. Three photos. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah, show the plaque.
Oh yes. Yeah, let's do that again. Three photos again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Which one? Yes, please.
Okay.
But we have a closed session.
Gordon?
Okay.
Show the plaque. You can step up here.
Three more photos. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Thank you for supporting Joel.
Thank you for showing.
Sure, of course, of course. Thank you.
Next we have is the item 5B, information reports on Cerritos City Council regarding the key trend in real estate, finance, and economic development. Robert?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, members of the City Council. This evening, we're pleased to have a guest speaker, Mr. Larry Cosmont of Cosmont Companies. He will be providing an informational presentation regarding local redevelopment trends, real estate and development trends as they relate to the city of Cerritos. The Cosmont Companies is well regarded throughout the state of California and advises cities and counties on matters related to economic development and real estate transactions. This time, I'd like to turn the floor over to Mr. Cosmont.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So happy to be here. You know, tonight reminds me why Cerritos is such a great community. When you see, I got MUN, Boy Scouts, and small business in one night. Where else do you get that, right? So appreciate that. And I will never, ever eat Girl Scout cookies again thinking that I'm only sort of buying the cookies. I now know what I'm making the investment in. Won't stop me from eating more and more, for sure.
That's why we invited you, Larry. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, exactly. So tonight's presentation, probably a little long for council chambers, but I'll get through it as quickly as I possibly can. And I think the timing is great for Cerritos because you truly are on the cusp of a number of major projects, as you well know, as well as I'm informed by your staff that you'll be looking to set forth some planning and economic development strategies. So I think the timing for this will be good. I hope you'll find the information helpful. I think I'll move to the next couple of slides. I think all of these are bad pictures of me, so keep going. There we go. The point of this presentation is really to identify the changes that we're all living in a very fast-paced time. I mean, March of 2020 sort of set the path of this whole country and many cities on a different trajectory. As you know, we sort of moved through COVID and a pandemic into a much changed economy. It was really changed before COVID, but what COVID did is it brought these changes, I think, to a cusp, to a highlight. Next slide. And what we find in this economy and why it's so hard for us as cities to figure out what to do next is because things are moving quickly. We don't move as quickly. We are a service business. As you know, we run cities, we provide police, fire, contract services, planning services. We're a service business. We're really not. We don't make much, we don't make anything, and we respond to consumer investment, consumer spend. And we get, consumer spend is translated to us through private enterprise. So we take our cues from the services we deliver, which are cost centers, and we take our sources or resources from private activity. And today's private activity is dynamically different as we see it come together in a post-COVID digital world. One is consumers are really now making choices about quality of life first, not job. You know, that has shifted. It's a really dynamic shift. It's an important one because it changes the character of office. It changes the character of local retail. It changes the importance of residential. Investors are driven by that. As 65% of this economy is a consumer-based economy, so guess where they put their money? On consumer-based products and to match and support consumer demand. And so even though we've had supply chain anomalies through COVID, in reality, we're back in sort of a fluid supply and demand system. It's just a different system now, driven again by that consumer change in attitude and habits. And then finally, we're driven. We at City Halls are driven by both resident demands and needs, but also the state. The state keeps knocking on our door and a bunch of really, very imposing statutory constraints related to density, Surplus Land Act, the sale of our own property, mandates to provide housing at every different economic level. So, and sustainability, for sure. A lot of state legislation is about resiliency and alternative energy. So if you can imagine, consumers drive you one way, investors try and take advantage of consumers another way, so they'll propose projects that reflect that in a new economy, and City Hall gets the pressure from not only the residents, but from the state. Next slide. So I'll start moving quicker. So at the end of the day, nothing is really the same. That's the point. You sit here in Cerritos at the cusp of figuring out where you want to go next, figuring out how to do economic development in a very changed context, and voila, all the ingredients have shifted. They're still there. There's just a different recipe out there. Residential is a driver. It wasn't before. I will tell you that if you ask most city managers, I'm a former president of Gateway City Managers Association in another life about 30 years ago, but if you ask most of the city managers in Gateway and other associations, they'll still think of residential as a loss leader. I'm not sure anymore. I think in many kinds of residential, at certain densities, certain locations, certain demographic groups, residential is the carrier of the economy right now because more people are doing more things under their own roof. Industrial is different because it truly is retail today. Retail is driven by the delivery of products, not by the presentation of products in a store. The growth comes from a delivery economy. So industrial takes on a different notion. Hotel has changed dramatically. If you're not a destination hotel, you need to be a business hotel. Everything in between tends to suffer in this economy. Still, retail is totally resetting. It is not even really retail anymore. It's really a series of food, entertainment, and service-based stores. And the old commodity of retail will continue to shrink. You will see smaller stores from Macy's, if you see them at all at some point in the future. You will see much smaller stores from Best Buy. They are all shrinking because they don't need to have those larger pads. And then office changing because folks are just not really making the decision, even if a company would prefer that there's a 5-day work week, there's really a restraint, there's really a tug of war going on between the workforce and the quality of life they want. Next slide. So, a couple of things. One is we know the old world of retail is not coming back. It's still interesting. We will still at Cosmon show up. We have over 100 public agency clients, and we'll be in closed session and say, well, why don't we just, redo that shopping center? I said, sure. The problem is that we just have too much retail. It's not coming back. In the United States, we have 23 square feet per capita of retail. The closest Western country is like Great Britain at 10 times that. So we just built a lot of retail. And we were all part of it in California. We did a lot of it under redevelopment. Shopping online continues to grow. And then there's just a changing taste because if consumers are going to leave their house, they need to be anchored or attracted by something that's experience-based. In other words, you really can't fix your teeth over the internet. You can't do a lot of medical things. It's hard to do all things learning-wise over the internet. It is hard to eat over the internet. All of these things are the drivers that get trips out the door. And the point for local economies is, how do you capture that? How do you define or redefine retail so that it's productive for you? But it has to be done. Next slide. So housing is economic development. As I said earlier, the preference to live and work and shop in a house is really becoming much more prevalent. And we also, in California and elsewhere, have become, and we still are, a small business society in many ways. And so small entrepreneurs, tech workers, they have the convenience of being able to figure out how to do more of it at home rather than go to an office. So rooftops become a driver of economic activity, and the objective of those rooftops, by the way, for all of us, is to capture that wallet that now stays home in your community over a longer period of time. Remember, a lot of your community used to leave and get on a freeway and go elsewhere. You lost that wallet during the day. You had it on weekends. That's changed, and that's why the economy behind residential has also shifted. And I would suspect that the models we use, in-plan and other models, really still need those adjustments because this world has changed rather quickly. Those models have not changed with it. Next slide. So old world of office not coming back. I don't have to sort of say too much more about that, except that the worker desire for flexibility and quality of life is really driving that, and that will only accelerate as A1 and digital tools reshape how work is done wherever it's done. Next slide. And industrial is a lifeline for retail. Wow, I mean, we get a lot of resistance on industrial. The interesting notion is that shorter shipping distances are better for the local economy. So infill of distribution points can be very important in terms of supporting your own retail. Think of this, there are and will be centers where an old anchor store will convert to a distribution point on that shopping center because it can serve smaller retailers on site who can take less space because they can basically accumulate and store goods in a distribution facility nearby. We will see a lot of that. It's starting to happen all over the country. Next slide. And then so just in summary, in terms of what these trends mean, nothing really is as it was a short while ago, and that means the tools and the approaches that cities have to take have to reflect that. Next slide. And the other, as I said earlier, is that the state continues to impose significant legislation on residential requirements, demand for density, demands for resiliency, building codes that have driven costs up. These are all sort of policy-driven direction from the state that add to the confusion and add to the shifting tide of economic development as we know it today. Next slide. The other fly in the ointment is that, and this is really important for Cerritos, for all communities, developers are pretty stuck right now. We are in an economy where equity and debt is very expensive. Most debt is now hitting north of 10%. And this is, we're just coming off, 4 years ago, we were in a 3% lending economy. So we've moved 5 to 7 to 800 basis points, but that's not the only problem. The valuations have changed. You know, the amount of debt that on a dollar that a bank or a equity and debt source is willing to provide is dramatically lower. So you have high construction costs, you have basically lenders that are on the bubble in terms of providing debt. And what that means is that all of your developers, whether they're large, small, sideways, in between, they're really shifting around to find the right match for equity and debt, and that means their projects are going slower. So for those of us that are in cities, we will notice just about across the board, developers aren't moving as quickly as they were. They're buying time. They're not always upfront about why they're doing that. And so it's up to us as cities to have that conversation with them. One thing that I encourage Cerritos and every community to do is to have that let's chat discussion. Because what's really happening in most cases is developers are not being exactly transparent about the challenge they're having on equity and debt in the marketplace, and they don't really know there are ways that you could actually help them. And so I'll talk about that in a minute. Next slide. So the point is, what are the questions and how do you add housing and comply with all these density mandates? How do you meet state policy requirements? How do I fix a regional shopping center when the developers are really sideways because they can't find the equity and debt? How do I revitalize a downtown? Can I and how do I replace sales tax? These are the questions that we all have to ask ourselves. Next slide. And in order to really understand the answers to those questions, you have to know what you're solving for. And what I still find is that there's a bias, and I have it myself, that just you can't really, before you solve for sales tax by putting up square feet. Today you solve for sales tax by what? Adding residential units. That's what drives the sales tax. Before, you really created zoning for large office projects. Today, you're really curating office and trying to shift office uses and intersperse it with other uses so that you have wallets to stay in the community. Before, we avoided industrial. Today, infill and distribution drives retail, so we need it. Before, residential development was a loss. Today, it is not a loss. In fact, in many cases, it's a value add. That's what you're solving for. Next slide. So if you look at your toolkit, so I'll spend a couple of minutes in this section because I think the toolkit, next slide, is really what you are looking to capture for yourself. So there's two approaches that we think are really key. One is to use your zoning as currency. Now, that's a challenge, right? Because the state came over to us already and said, plaster residential everywhere you can. Well, we probably did that. When you certified your housing element, you did a lot of that. The truth of it is the housing element requires rezoning now over the next 33 years. So this is the time to figure out if there are places that you can sort of charge for your zoning. What do I mean by charge for it? We have spent decades at cities throwing zoning at existing owners using specific plans. Well, I don't know. Most of those owners have no use for that zoning density that you give them other than to raise the sale price of the property. They're not developers. So instead, what we've really started to curate here at Cosmont and to move to our clients is go ahead and approve density in a specific plan, but put it in a reservoir, what I call a density opportunity bank. Hold it, trade it off for amenities, trade it off for infrastructure, trade it off for fees in a development agreement. It's really about land value and zoning value recapture. Now, if you've already gone through your community and plastered density all over the place and nothing's left, so be it. But if you have residential corridors that are not going to stay as residential and they're zoned commercial and you want to put residential over them as you look through how to comply with RENA, put them in that bucket and start trading the residential zoning that you provide, because guess what? In Cerritos, what's the highest land value you can have? Yeah, residential. Why give it away in a specific plan? Next slide. So that's approach number one. Create the zoning, bank the zoning, trade the zoning. It's just something we never did when we had a redevelopment. It's something we never thought about. But when the state came along in 200 statutes and pushed us to this density requirement, it's a way to be affirmative. It's a way to be strategic. It's a way to be implementation oriented. Capture value from zoning. Don't give it away. Next slide. Just a couple of cities. We've done a number of these value capture zoning strategies in Buellton, Avenue of the Flags. They created a development opportunity reserve bank. There have been projects now that come through. They get the zonings approved, but the owner of that property that's an LLC sitting in some other city that will never develop the property doesn't get that zoning. It's approved, but that buyer who might pay a slight premium, but not a full premium because they still have to come to the city and negotiate the deal and trade off that zoning that's pre-approved with that pre-approved community amenity list. And in Buellton, they've done everything from public restrooms to landscape to street improvements. In Hermosa Beach, they took commercial land. Now think about Hermosa Beach, small city, 2 square miles, pretty expensive. I don't think there's a residential unit in Hermosa Beach that sells for less than $1 million. So, you know, they have 2,000 plus housing units they have to come up with in Hermosa Beach. I have no idea where those are going, but to the extent there was commercial land that had no residential, no R in front of it, we helped Hermosa Beach put a residential overlay on that commercial property and then came up with a direct fee. You can see between $76 and $104 per foot, which goes to, if you're going to put residential on a commercially zoned property because we allow you to do it now, you pay a fee so we can make the investment in affordable housing and meet our RENA mandate. All these are mechanisms in which you take the leverage you have, because you control zoning, it's a bit of a printing press, and you move it toward compliance by keeping some economic sustainability around it instead of giving it away. Next slide. The other approach is to go ahead and take that, let's say you do value capture zoning, which is what I call that. You can also wrap where the zoning is going in your housing element. Because remember, the housing element is now what? A blueprint of density. You changed your community. You just told the development world that you're going to allow density at thousands of units. So you really, it's kind of a feeding frenzy for them. And believe it or not, they're already looking at state density bonus statutes to see what they can get done without your permission. So there's two pressures going there, and residential is the highest demand driver. So why not put that residential zoning that you can capture and assign to properties, not specifically, but in a density bank, why not put the area where density is coming, which you know is a higher value use, in a tax increment district, like an EIFD or a climate resiliency district. So that gives you a double win with tax increment. You control the zoning, charge for it, you know where the density is going, you allowed that, you approved it, and then you capture it in a district, in a TIF district. Next slide. And those work pretty well. I mean, TIF districts are good because they don't have to be contiguous. They can be separate parts of your city, so you could capture the zoning in the red. Let's say the red was much more density than others, then you know that density is probably happening first because retail is lagging, office is lagging, so residential has a better chance to come out of the box early. That's early tax increment, and you can use it anywhere else in the other areas. So you can be very prescriptive about where you rope in the tax increment, and you can use it for anything. On the left and on the right, you can see almost any use for this tax increment. This is all part of the EIFD law that replaced redevelopment. What you don't have here is you don't have the ability to go get a school district's tax increment or the county. So in places like Cerritos, where your property tax share is somewhat low, it's a low and no property tax city, as I recall, you need to get the county as a partner. Next slide. And in LA County, so these are all the districts we're doing statewide. They're all about housing, transit. You are not alone when you look at these value capture districts. In fact, it's crazy not to look at them. And when you start assigning so much density in your community, because you're compelled to do that, why not capture it? Next slide. In LA County, you can see all the cities around you that are exploring or have already executed on EIFDs. And by the way, well, Placentia's in Orange County, but Carson and LA County both have done. Carson have done one. LA County did one near Carson by the golf course. Carson did one on its own. We did both of these. And Carson has the county as a partner. Laverne has the county as a partner. Redondo Beach has county as a partner. LA County will partner with communities and share tax increment. You just have to figure out a way to adopt a TIF area that presents a value add opportunity for the county. Figure out what's important to them and go get their money, because that's the way you leverage your zoning. You provide the density, you put it in a district, you go to the county and say, give me X of your increment, I'll put in Y of my increment, and let's get into business together. That's how they work. We have a bunch of I'll show you one in a second. This one I think I picked. Next slide. So this is how it works, just before I go there. Tax increment is a very simple notion for all of you. You create the TIF district. You saw that map. You can be 4 or 5 different districts. They don't have to be contiguous. It's no new taxes. All it is just like redevelopment. It's the growth of taxable value that you capture for purposes of the district, which are infrastructure or any of the purposes you saw on the other slide. Next slide. And so, for example, small city, Placentia, not that different in size to Cerritos, an upscale community much like this, took their old town area, put it in a tax district, went ahead and got the county as a partner. So they put in about 15, 16 cents. The county put in about 18. And they're working together, and they're going to issue their first TIF bond, not in 22, but in 24. We got held up on a modification. Next slide. So you can do a lot with these. The other thing you can do is these districts make you eligible for grant funds, and the feds have a good amount of healthy notion of grant funds. The Inflation Reduction Act and the Infrastructure and Investment and Jobs Act are both acts that really speak to resiliency, technology, a whole bunch of infrastructure. It's a perfect match for these TIF districts. Next slide. And when you add zoning, you really need better infrastructure. So going after this money through a TIF district makes you more eligible. You can also reduce costs using your own funds. I won't spend a lot of time on this slide. The whole point of this is, in this new world where industrial is a driver and residential is a driver and everything else is pretty lackluster, you have to figure out ways to use what you have to entice private investment and capture the value of that private investment, whether it's zoning capture or TIF capture, so that you can benefit and move this community forward in a significant way. Next slide. So what's hot in this new world? When it comes down to it, it gets easier. It's a little bit hard to understand how you apply these tools. It's better to understand where they ought to be applied. So let's go see what ends up being hot in this new world. One is we know that we're solving for a couple of things. We're looking for converting old space, capturing wallets. We're looking at shopping centers that have to get redone. We're looking at providing residential in a very high-cost residential market where younger and worker demand, younger families and worker demand is filling up the space, and buying is not as easy of a choice. Next slide. So one thing that happens is retail shifts. Retail becomes more about entertainment. Retail becomes more about essential services, grocery stores, medical, pharmacies, other services. That is really how shopping centers shift today. There's a picture right in the middle that has some couches in it, and I have a slide that I use in a number of presentations. It has 4 of these pictures. They're all a little different, and I ask people, where do you think you are in that picture? Do you know that hotel lobbies and retail lobbies and office lobbies and residential high-scale community lobbies all look the same today? Everyone is creating a living room. Everyone's creating an experience, and that's where retail, that's where service is going. Next slide. E-commerce, clearly not your father's industrial. It's really a higher quality product, and it's a necessary product because it drives sales tax for most local communities. Next slide. Also hot is residential demand. We were in a little bit of a sideways market. Mortgages are high, costs are high, rents have sort of leveled out, but this won't change, and the state won't let it change anyway. Next slide. And then, of course, state policy, both hitting you at climate action and housing. Even if you didn't want to be in the housing business, you'd have to be in the housing business because the state, as I said, has already introduced all of the statutory platforms where developers now look at properties. Hear me out on this. If you have a developer who truly understands what's gone on in Sacramento, here's what they do. They take a look at what you've done in your housing element. They took a look at what's out in the market for sale. They basically match those properties with the best density bonus configuration that would serve them well. Then they match the quality of the market to the cost of construction, and they make a choice. They'll pass, or they'll come in and knock on your door and say, guess what? I've got an as-of-right zoning here. I want to move forward on it. That's become the business. So for us at cities, we have to say, look, okay, we understand that game, but 2 can play at that. We control zoning at some level still, maybe not for everything, but for a lot. We can charge for that zoning or demand amenities in exchange. We don't have to give it away anymore. We can help you if you want to come and be aggressive with us on one of these streamlining of density districts. Well, if we put all of these potential properties in a TIF district, the ones that cooperate with us get the voluntary share of tax increment. The ones that don't. So it's a way to neutralize and manage that dialogue. Next slide. So for Cerritos, just to wrap up, what are the strategies if I'm sitting in your seat, which I am glad I'm not. Let me show you these. It's much harder. It's easier here. You really are trying to set a foundation for economic resilience and future prosperity. And certainly the private sector, as I've indicated to you, is truly at a hurdle with high cost, tough building development standards and statutes as related to resiliency and climate action, private equity and debt challenges, and they have economic uncertainties. We're all trying to figure out when that interest rate comes back down, probably not this year. So, and there's $1.2 trillion of commercial overhang in the marketplace that lenders are going to start to get back. I don't know if you saw it today, another lender hit the dust. I mean, that's going to happen. We're in that economy. So your role could be to assess the options that you prefer, understand the trends where private sector is likely to put the money, I identified those for you tonight, and make the decisions that can support private investment. Next slide. And that would be really about using these tools, not giving away your zoning, monetizing your zoning, not looking at housing as a loss leader, but making it a beneficial, making it an accretive strategy for you. Look at ways to use district financing and state funding and federal funding sources to elevate the capital stack for developers and yourself. Use your public property out of the Surplus Land Act to throw into a deal. These are all the things that you can do. I'm going through these fast, but that's what you can look at in an economic strategy going forward. It's what you should look at because it's a different world, as I pointed out. You have different tools than when you did years ago with redevelopment. And because of that, it just makes for a much different game all around. Next slide. So just wrapping up, if I were to look at this checklist, Cerritos has been very responsible financially, and you have to continue that. Wherever you can use your good credit to support infrastructure or special districts, that's a place to do that, maybe move projects forward that you need to have them move forward. And remember, the developers aren't telling you everything about what they're encountering in the private marketplace. It's up to you to ask them to be honest and transparent with you so you can help them, because then you could, based on where they are, evaluate economic development strategies, identify the best opportunities to make investments in, select your preferred tools so you can control that narrative and you have a seat at the table in a productive way, let your community know what you're doing, and work with those developers on projects. That's the secret sauce. Next slide. Who you need in the room, it's a different world. I think you need slightly different economy. I always say that in this world, economic development and planning and finance have all become best friends because there's no one answer to it anymore. Public finance can, without redevelopment and tax increment in a consistent way, it's just a lesser role. You can do some things, as I pointed out, but it's a lesser role. It's still important. Planning is okay, but it's only okay if you manage your zoning commodity properly, right? And economic development, because of this public-private interface and this changed consumer economy, takes a different kind of skill sets to really make those work. So you need a team, you need to cooperate, next slide. And at the end of the day, it's just not as obvious as it used to be, but the ingredients are very apparent to me. If you're going to be successful and solve for economic development, it's going to be a mix of land use, financial management, the creation of special value capture districts, and trying to figure out how you can best comply with the state. I think that's really about it. Thank you very much. Sorry I went through that so fast, but I know you have a long night. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Larry, for that report. Does council have any question to ask Larry? Bruce probably has something.
Bruce always has tough questions.
I know.
I was going to ask one, but it's not that important, tonight. But Larry, thank you. I find each of your presentations always very illuminating.
Thank you.
And starting with your survey, going back a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
It's been part of our history here to keep our expenses low, to keep us attractive to not only our residents, but the businesses, that do business here. So it's been a guiding principle. I'm glad that the Rose Institute has continued with it. Yep. And, thank you for all the years you put in since you were city manager.
Yep, thank you very much. Always a pleasure being here.
And I'm sure our staff probably have more question, and we'll get back to you, and we'll have a continue communication.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Larry.
I just want to say thank you so much, Larry. I know you're a very busy person and making the time to come out here and do the presentation for our city. I've always appreciated the presentations you've given at ICA, CCCA, all of the acronyms. So, and I'll be seeing you this month as well and hearing more from you. So thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing all of you. We are a resource for Cerritos. Feel free, Mr. City Manager, to use us as much as you want. And we consider Cerritos a friend. You're a really progressive, smart community. Keep up the good work, and we look forward to working with you whenever we can. Thank you.
Thank you. We have item 5C. Madam Clerk, you have a report on that?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. After each annual mayoral transition, the newly designated mayor presents nominations of individual council members, residents, and community members recommended for service on internal ad hoc working groups and as delegates and alternates on external boards, commissions, and committees. Final appointments are subject to the majority approval of the City Council. Before we turn the mic over or the presentation over to the mayor to present his presentations, we did want to make an additional recommendation there are occasions where the appointed delegate or alternate cannot attend a meeting. And in such cases, there's a bit of urgency in order to have the city represented. So we're also asking this year and in future years that the city council authorize the mayor in such event as the first and second alternate, or the delegate and the alternate cannot attend, that the mayor can make an appointment from amongst the rest of the membership of the city council to attend the meeting, and that would be subject to a verbal report at the following next regular or special scheduled meeting. And this is to ensure that in those rare events, and it does happen a couple of times a year, that the appointees can't attend, we have city representation. And so that was also included in the public agenda report. That really concludes our presentation. At this time, we'll turn the presentation back over to the mayor to announce his nominations. And then we will need to open for public comments prior to final city council action on this matter. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Did you give me that report, printed report for 5C?
I do have your.
Can you just go ahead and read it for me, please?
Sure, thank you. And I will, if the council will indulge me, I will read my last name just in the interest of time. I know we have a large agenda tonight. And so for the City Council Internal Ad Hoc Working Groups, ABC Unified School District, Vo and Johnson, Auto Mall, Solanke, Budget and Finance, Solanke and Barrows. Oh, yes, of course. Business and Industry, Solanke. Cerritos Community College District, Vo. Chamber of Commerce, Vo. City Charter Review, Barrows. Community Garden, Vo and Barrows. Disaster Preparedness Emergency Management, Solanke and Vo. Legislative, Johnson. Library, Barrows. Los Angeles County Public Health Department, Johnson. MIS Technology, Vo and Barrows. Parks and Recreation, Vo. Personnel, Solanke and Barrows. Policy and Procedure, Vo and Barrows. Protocol Manual, Barrows and Vo. Public Safety, Vo and Solanke. Senior Services Senior Center, Johnson. Southeast Gateway Line Project, and this is formerly known as the West Santa Ana Branch Transit Project, Solanke and Barrows. For City Council member appointments to external boards, commissions, and committees, California Contract Cities Association Board of Directors, Delegate Johnson, alternate Vo. California Joint Powers Insurance Authority Board of Directors, Delegate Vo, alternate Johnson. Gateway Cities Council of Governments, Board of Directors, Delegate Solanke, alternate Barrows. Gateway Cities Council of Governments, SR 91, I-605, I-405 Corridor Cities Committee, Delegate Solanke, alternate Barrows. Gateway Cities Council of Governments, Southeast Gateway Line, Corridor Cities Committee, Delegate Solanke, alternate Barrows. Independent Cities Association Board of Directors, Delegate Johnson, alternate Solanke. League of California Cities and Cal Cities Los Angeles Regional Division, the Cerritos representatives, Delegate Johnson, alternate Vo. League of California Cities 2024 Annual General Assembly, voting delegate and alternate, Delegate Solanke, alternate Vo. Los Angeles County City Selection Committee, and by law, the mayor is the primary delegate and the mayor pro tem is alternate. So Delegate Solanke and alternate Vo. Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts Board of Directors, Districts 2, 3, 18, and 19. By law, the mayor is always the primary delegate. However, the first alternate may be assigned to attend all meetings. The remaining alternates may attend on a per-meeting basis if such scheduling is necessary. Delegate Solanke, first alternate Barrows, second alternate Vo, third alternate Johnson, fourth alternate Yokoyama. Southeast Los Angeles County Workforce Development Board, Delegate Solanke, alternate Johnson. Southeast Water Coalition Joint Powers Authority Board of Directors, Delegate Vo, alternate Delegate Vo, alternate Solanke. Southern California Association of Governments General Assembly Member City Official Representative and delegate and alternate, Delegate Johnson, alternate Vo. For city council member, external boards, commissions, and committee service appointments, I apologize, this is for resident and community member service appointments. For the Bellflower Unified School District Citizens Task Force Committee for the 2024-25 academic year, Mr. Alan Snyder. At this time, it would be appropriate for the mayor to open public comments on this item and then for the city council to entertain a motion.
Anyone like to speak on this item? Okay, come forward.
And this item is for item 5C.
Hi, Catherine Pasquale. Is it typical to leave a council member out of all appointments? That's definitely not how it's done to the school board, and it feels not like the right thing to do, especially given that Mr. Yokoyama has several leadership positions around the state of California and the nation in some of these same organizations that I heard you guys mention tonight. So I would just like to ask if that's standard procedure.
It's a mayor's choice.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back for the council action.
I have a question.
Okay.
How about the Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control District, as well as the Celico Board of Directors?
Those are same people is in there, right?
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, Councilmember Johnson, thank you for that question. Pursuant to state law, if we look at the attachment, and I apologize, I'm going to get there very quickly. Once that delegate is appointed, the City Council cannot remove that person at will, and that is pursuant to state law. And Mr. Mark Boland was appointed on October 26, 2023 to serve a 4-year term from January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2028. So he cannot be removed at will by the City Council pursuant to state law once he has been appointed. The Celico Board of Directors appointees, those are recommendations that need to come from the Chamber of Commerce to the city for ratification. And we will be following up with the Chamber of Commerce within the next month to see if these individuals that were already appointed will be recommended through the Chamber of Commerce. But that is a recommendation that has to come from a business entity in the city. It cannot come from the City Council, but those will be forthcoming in the next month or so.
Thank you, Vita.
Okay, anyone else?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Doing a roll call? Madam Clerk, or?
I do believe we have the electronic voting activated, and we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Vo and a second by Councilmember Johnson.
Aaron, it looks like we have an issue here. Go through.
I can't vote.
Okay, we can defer to a roll call vote.
Oh, well, you got it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And the motion passes by a vote of 4-1.
Okay. Right, the next item we have is the public comments, but before we go to public comments, I'm gonna, we'll open the floor to in-person public comments. Please approach the podium once your name has been called. And remember, there is a 3 minutes limit per speaker. Also, council appreciates not repeating the same statement of a prior speaker, and instead briefly summarize an agreement or disagreement with your prior comment. All comments will be part of the public record. With that, Madam Clerk, could you call the first speaker? Oh, do we have it here, speaker? Okay, Teddy Lloyd.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council, and I'm very happy to report to you that today I saw at Liberty Park that they poured concrete for 2 brand new pickleball courts. And why am I bringing it to the attention? It's because I'm so happy that the city of Cerritos expedited so fast because I recall I was here at the city council meeting, and then I believe the city council voted yes on it to create the 2 courts. And now they're starting to put in the concrete today, and I was watching there, and then I looked at all the little details. I'm so happy for city of Cerritos. Why? Because city of Cerritos is the only city that I know of that's created new pickleball courts. Almost all the other cities and everywhere I know, they almost always converted from something, maybe a tennis court or basketball courts. And I always commented by saying, pickleball courts always seem to be hand-me-downs, nothing built brand new. But the city of Cerritos is the only one that I know of, and then I'm very, very happy because I know 2 years ago, the city of Cerritos actually built 1 more court at the middle of the jogging track of Liberty Park. So now I'm hoping when it's all completed, and then I even spoke to the engineering department, Dario, very helpful, and provided me information, and I supplied a lot of information that would benefit for the city of Cerritos. So I'm hoping all the council members will attend the grand opening, I hope, by maybe June 1st, okay? And it will be great. And I think I would definitely say it's great for the city of Cerritos. Now, the other minor items I'd like to bring to the attention of the city council is because at Sunshine Park, and I believe Mayor Pro Tem John Vo even looked into for Sunshine Park for pickleball use. And then I don't blame the Parks and Recreation staff because I putting some painter's tape just to create like a temporary pickleball court. And I believe that the Parks and Recreation staff feels like that may not be, correct, and on and on. So that's been removed, and on and on. But I do notice that the basketball courts definitely needs resurfacing. And I recall 2 years ago, many of the basketball courts are being resurfaced, but Sunshine Park courts not. So I'm hoping, and I believe I spoke to the engineering department, saying maybe that's scheduled to be resurfaced. Well, if so, when we do that, how about have the contractors, instead of putting painter's tape, how about paint the lines for 2 pickleball courts, which at almost no cost. And this way, all the surrounding residents, we're all looking, and many of them say, oh, we'd like to see more pickleball courts. So I'm hoping that the city of, will
Teddy, your
consider
time is
that.
up.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then I appreciate if you can do that, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Al Barlevy? Pass. All right. Ernie Nishi?
Thank you, City Council. Thank you for honoring all of those students and the youth of our city. I mean, that's a really great thing that our city can recognize the power of our city is also in our youth. And look at that. The room is empty because they all left because they got their award, and so I appreciate that. I know that a lot of you have already attended the State of the District, so I don't need to give you information about that. As you know, all of our high schools got a Distinguished School Award, which is a rare thing. We've spent most or all of our ESSER funds, and so we aren't scheduled with that, so we will not have that for next year. Some events that we'll have in our school district will be the upcoming ABC Adult School on May 3rd from 11 to 12:40. That's the International Day. We have the Gar Area Concert. That'll be May 8th at 6:30. On May 10th, Cerritos Elementary will have an international festival, so if you'd like to get some great food, please come on down. 5:30 to 6:30. You can get great food from all over the world. Those parents work really hard. On May 11th, we have the middle school track meet. That'll be also at GAR, and you'll get to see all our middle schoolers do the best they can, and maybe someday be a pitcher for the Astros or the Dodgers or whatever. May 15th, we will have Cerritos High School will have their band, 6:30 at Cerritos High School. And ABC Adult School has some event on May 22nd. I'm not sure what that is, actually. Anyway, appreciate all that you do for the city. I saw all those committee assignments. Oh my gosh, that is a lot of work. But I'd love to see you also at some school events because, as you know, our youth is our future, and having you there makes a big difference. Having you there, being leaders in our city to show the youth the way forward. makes all of us stronger. So I will cede the rest of my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ernie.
Ernie, real quick, I think you left out May 10th, Cerritos Elementary School has flavors of the region, unless I missed you.
No, I did say that,
did say
but
that?
we can
Okay.
say it again.
I
And
thought-
what time is that?
I thought you said it was May 9th, though, so that's why it caught me off guard. Did you say May? I just want to make sure it's May 10th.
It is May 10th.
Okay, on Friday.
5:30 to 6:30.
Perfect, thank you.
And also, obviously, the ABC School Board President here, Sophia Tse, just wanted to
Yeah.
say thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Zia Lahir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and council members of the Cerritos City. My name is Zeal, and I'm representing Sahas for a Cause. It's a registered 501c in the city of Cerritos. So our event that we have coming up on May 18th, Saturday, is funded by LA County Department of Mental Health. We're collaborating with ABC School District. They've given us a spot at Tetzlaff Middle School to host this event to highlight mental health and extracurriculars. This is important because most of the times we see people in our community just very driven, and that's obviously a good thing to have ambition, but they forget to have fun. So we've curated a day where you can play some sports. There will be other activities and people representing their business that has to do with singing, art and craft, dance workshop. There will be henna, face painting, and even the community members can enjoy a simple relay race or lemon and spoon walk if you've ever heard of that. This is a free event and lunch will be catered. So I highly recommend Cerritos Council members to support this event. If you could attend, that would be great. If not, those of you who are interested, I do have flyers. I'll leave them outside. Just come. It's a community event. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Catherine Pascual.
Good evening, council members. So, couple things. We got this green bulletin, and I was very excited to see all of the summer camps coming back after COVID. I looked at those and saw the ages of them and was waiting for my children to be old enough to do a lot of these things. And I see lots of cool summer activities. So thank you for bringing a lot of those things back. It seems like a full schedule again and back and roaring to go. The only thing is that ABC Excels has already advertised their summer camps, and I know a lot of parents have already signed up for like the private church summer camps. So just don't be discouraged if these ones, because people didn't know they were coming because they haven't been there the last few years, don't get fully signed up, although I hope they do. Maybe it'll be a great place for parents to go who weren't quite ready to sign up last month. So anyway, thank you for bringing that stuff back. I'm excited to sign my kids up. I'm going to get off a flight on Saturday morning and then have about 15 minutes to find a spot to sit and get internet and get signed up. Next, thank you for keeping the public comments at number 6 tonight. I would just hope that in the future, if you're planning to move them to number 11, that you state that in the agenda so that people can plan accordingly. And then I'm not really sure what was happening previously with the turning off the televising and stuff like that, but if we have an expected state of how public comments go, I think for freedom of speech and people's ability to speak, that should be followed. I was unable to speak about that last time because there were too many speakers and my name didn't get called. It also seemed that some speakers were being called out of order from how they signed up. So maybe if we could figure out a way to make that a little bit more fair for residents to be able to speak. And then the last thing in my last minute is I've been talking to a lot of parents in the community, and I know we take pride on the fact that we have a lot of parks in the city of Cerritos, but we would love to see some of those parks be updated. We would love to see some modernization of parks. There's a lot of brain research about how great it is for kids to like spin and things like that. And there's some really cool new things that you can do with parks, with splash pads. things like that. And I know some of our neighboring cities have been building new parks, and we already have plenty of parks. We don't need to build new ones, but I think that the ones that we do have could definitely use some renovations. I, as a parent, would love shade for both myself and my children while we're playing. It's getting hotter and hotter. If you look up New York Times, they have a thing where you can check how many days above 90 degrees your city is projected to have in the future, or how many it used to have and how many it has now. When you pull that up, it says the city of Cerritos doesn't typically have more than 2 days above 90 degrees in a given year when they did that study. So obviously that's no longer true. We get lots of hot days. I'd love to see some shade and new play structures. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have is Grace Warehouse.
Hello, City Council. It's been some time, but I come here again in favor of the ceasefire resolution to be placed on the City Council agenda. You may be wondering why most of my colleagues aren't here today, and I guess I speak as a representative for the rest of them. Many of them are actually out, busy supporting university encampments, and I don't know if y'all have heard, it's been all over the news, that universities all across the country and the state, including UCLA, UCI, and UCR, are all feeling the same sentiment that we've been coming here for months talking to you about. So we're basically not alone in our sentiments, and y'all wouldn't be either if you chose to join us. It would really show a lot of support in the youth of California. Besides that, I also wanted to criticize the city's censorship from the previous meetings, moving public comment to the end, not recording the comments, and earlier this year, this council did make a lot of us cry, interrupted our public comments, and directly called us liars. And also choosing selectively who gets to speak instead of being fair and going in order. Yeah, that's right, we ended up noticing that and we really don't think that it should be something that happens all the time. It's really blatant discrimination of who gets to speak. And I may be alone today, but I chose to speak up to let y'all know that we all still care and we're all still here. The country's momentum in support of a ceasefire is ramping up now more than ever, and it's seriously not too late to join our cause. Please consider joining now. Innocent Palestinian lives are still being lost every day. The death toll climbs up to 40,000 lives, and every single one of them are still living a nightmare every day for the past 200 days. People are being executed in hospitals en masse, and there's still not enough aid for the over 1 million people who've been displaced. I also believe that I saw on video earlier today in the council meeting that there's been praise for the city's Model United Nations. In relevant news, the International Court is even willing to issue arrest warrants for the President of Israel for his war crimes. The rest of the world seriously agrees, including the rest of the United Nations, that we're all, in favor of a free Palestine. And I seriously think y'all should reconsider your values, and please support the lives of the citizens in your city and their families, and put a ceasefire resolution on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the cards I have. Anybody else like to speak? You didn't fill out the name? Okay, go ahead.
Mayor Solanki, congratulations. Pro Tem, Council, my name is Sam Desai. I'm a resident of Cerritos. It feels amazing that we can work together. This council today has gone through some serious observations. When residents wants to come and speak, we can maintain decorum. I know there are some challenges, Mayor, that you are facing, council members that you are facing. And as a resident who is involved, I would like to make one recommendation, please. Mayor, for you, Pro Tem Mayor, for you, council members, there are individuals who serves on your committees, as well as individuals who serve on the commissions. They do not only represent you, they all represent us. Believe me, we are not voted in individuals, we are residents. And just like residents over here, we have some difference of opinions. And yes, we can all have difference of opinions with each other, but can you please, Mayor, make a request to the colleagues, again, have a conversation with people that you appoint, that you approve, who stands and represent us, to start showing civility towards each other. I know it's a free country, and people that you appoint, sir, ma'am, I know they have freedom of rights. But sometimes the way they communicate with each other in forums, in public, that's not good for our city. It's a humble request. I know that you want to cut our time, and I know you want to control the situation. But it's uncomfortable for residents of City of Cerritos to see members that you appoint behave the way they do. And we all know what's going on. And in case you are not sure, each one of you have my direct phone number. And if you don't like using it, it's all right. Talk to the individuals you have committed. Ask them again once more why they choose to serve all of us, not just you. They get to be civil with each other, and it would be really appreciative if next year, until at least the elections, we can work on issues and not these personal conflicts. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on public comments? Seeing none, I'll close the public comments, bring it back to the council for next item, which is consent calendar.
Move to approve.
Second that.
Okay.
The motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Okay, tonight we do not have any public hearing. We don't have new and all items, so we'll jump on the item 10A. Any reports on pending legislation?
No, sir, not on 10A. We do have one item under 10B, if I may.
Okay, go ahead. 10B.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Under item 10B, we do have one piece of legislation pursuant to consensus direction by the City Council. This proposed bill relates to retail theft, and for the details, the information related to the bill, I'm going to defer to Assistant City Manager Kathy Matsumoto.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Staff, at the request of City Council, is bringing this item as an update on pending legislation related to Assembly Bill 2943, authored by Assembly members Rivas and Zabur. This is known as the California Retail Theft Reduction Act. This is being put forth by the authors as part of an effort to address the significant increase in retail theft that have adversely impacted business owners and communities throughout California with growing frequency. Particularly, AB 2943 has been authored in response to impacts associated with the passage of Proposition 47 in 2014 and the corresponding increase in the threshold for felony theft offenses from $400 to $950. The referenced increase is credited with bringing one of the factors that has emboldened thieves that have led to the growth of retail theft and the proliferation of organized theft rings. AB 2943 includes a number of provisions that are intended to provide law enforcement and prosecution with more tools to combat the issue that will hopefully serve as a deterrent to the criminals. Highlights of this bill include the creation of new felony crime of retail theft with intent to sell, which is punishable by up to 1 year in jail for individuals who have stolen over $950 worth of goods. The legislation also includes an aggregation clause, which would allow prosecutors to aggregate the value of different thefts committed by the same individual over the course of the preceding 3 years. AB 2943 would also grant law enforcement officers with the authority to arrest suspected shoplifters based on reasonable cause, even if the officer did not directly witness the theft. This bill is passed out of the Assembly Public Safety Committee on April 9th with a unanimous vote of 8-0 and is now in the Assembly Appropriations Committee and has been placed in suspense waiting for hearing. The bill has not been set for hearing yet, and this has until May 17th to pass out of the Appropriations Committee. Then it will be scheduled for the Assembly floor vote to be heard no later than May 24th. As it relates to the official position of AB 2943, the League of California Cities, the California Contract Cities, and the Association of District Attorneys has issued a letter of concern, but they are all in agreement with the concept and the intent of this bill. They are asking for amendments that will strengthen the legislation and bring this to the voters, possibly bring this to the voters through an amendment to Proposition 47. Based on the information that is provided this evening, staff is seeking City Council's direction as it relates to a formal position on this matter. As of this report, the author's office has been contacted. The support has been offered by a number of law enforcement agencies, a number of business and retail associations, and the chambers of commerce. The cities of San Jose, Pico Rivera, and Santa Clarita have also supported this legislation. Opposition has been registered by the Vera Institute of Justice. That concludes my presentation, and staff is seeking council direction on your position on this legislation.
Thank you, Kathy, for the reports, and Robert. We'll bring it back to council. Any questions? Mr. Barros?
Thank you. Kathy, my understanding is the league took a position not to upset, the authors, and that there was significant.
I'm sorry?
There was significant resistance to the language.
Yes, they have offered a letter with some modifications.
Okay, in my experience in the past, and I, we've worked on these things before, that if we don't take an oppose unless amended, to go ahead and say we support, if amended, is very weak response, from the city's point of view. The language of what I've, what I've read in it doesn't appear to really do much.
If we were, we can work with our legislative group in Sacramento to offer other amendments if the council so chooses.
I would only support that if we opposed it. I don't believe in trying to just to go along to get along, because it doesn't work. It never has. But anyway, that answers my question, is that there is significant opposition. It's just that they're trying to play nice, for those that need help to get elected to a higher office. And that's what's really going on within the league, is that we have people that are self-serving at this point.
Okay. Anyone else?
Maybe our legislative representative could add some more to that.
Yes, mine is a comment, it's not a question. Can we go into
ahead.
comments?
Yes.
All right. First, I want to thank my council colleagues for their unanimous consensus on bringing this item forward, which is now before us for discussion and consideration on how we should move forward. Cal Cities and Contract Cities Association are two organizations where our city is a member city. Cal Cities has taken a position to support the bill unless amended, and Contract Cities initially took a position to support unless amended. However, last week at their legislative committee meeting, they have changed their position to support. They are no longer seeking amendments to the bill as it stands. I do want to note that there are competing bills in Sacramento, also with tough on crime approach. So as a council, we can take a position such as to support unless amended, oppose unless amended, or just sit and wait. So I really look forward to discussion on what the will of this council would be. I've talked to Bruce about this a lot, and I too am very strong on a oppose letter unless amended. I think it sends a stronger message to our legislators in Sacramento that reform is something that we, our residents, are asking for, and that the bill as it stands, I don't think is a little weak. We need to take steps we need to voice make our voice heard that we would like a stronger bill. And I also support the amendments recommended by the California District Attorneys Association, which are included in the staff report. So I kind of want to hear what my other colleagues think. This is a great time, I think, for us to engage in that conversation.
Frank?
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I recall that back in January, there was a press conference over in Norwalk regarding Senator Bob Archuleta's SB 923, which will increase penalties for repeat theft offenders by re-implementing serial theft provisions that were eliminated by Prop 47. So it's things like this, you know, like Councilmember Johnson commented, you know, there's other bills. You know, today we're considering Assembly Bill 2943. I just think, you know, we're hearing about one today, but it's not happening in a vacuum. You know, Bob Archuleta's Senate Bill 923 was reported to us, and there was a press conference in Norwalk back in January, and I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we ever heard about it here presented to us in one of our city council meetings during the legislative items section. So it seems to me, you know, today we're hearing about Assembly Bill 2943 in a vacuum. We're not able to compare and contrast it to the other bills that, you know, you referenced, Councilmember Johnson, including SB 923, which was, you know, reported to us back in January. And I don't even know what the status of that is today, SB 923. But, you know, I do know that that was a big deal because at that press conference, in addition to Senator Bob Archuleta, there was Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer, California Highway Patrol representatives, Orange County and LA Sheriff representatives. So I don't know, maybe the captain knows something about the status of SB 923. But those are my thoughts. It's like I do want our residents to be safe in our city, just like I want us to have a safe state. And I do agree that retail theft is a significant problem in our state because of Prop 47. And I do want, as you mentioned, Councilmember Johnson, I want a strong bill. So are you saying you don't, were you saying that you don't support AB 2943 as written?
That's correct. I don't support it as it stands now.
But you did say that
to oppose.
You did say that the League of California Cities supports it and California Contract Cities supports it.
League of California Cities supports the bill
Hmm?
unless amended. And the amendments are those that are written by the California District Attorneys Association.
California Contract Cities?
California Contract Cities had also taken initial position of supporting unless amended. However, last week at the Legislative Committee meeting with Contract Cities, they took back that position letter and would like to submit a new position letter to support. They are no longer asking for amendments.
Is your comment about you want a stronger bill, is that in alignment with the League of California Cities position of support unless amended?
Yes.
And their amendment language?
Yes.
Which you said is from the District Attorney's Office?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
I have some comments. I appreciate that it's starting to be recognized that our state needs to start pushing the pendulum back towards the center when it comes to public safety and just crime in general. I like that groups that are representing us are taking positions to look at new, modified, or refreshed laws to hold people accountable for what they're doing to us here in California when when these perpetrators are constantly victimizing all of us. And now there's discussion at the state to reverse some of the things that they've initially have done. But the language here, first off, I mean, I got this today, right? And so, I mean, I'm trying to read through it. It's a lot to read. And just from the summary of staff, I personally don't like any of the language in there because it's not strong enough. I think it's a game that we're playing still with some words. But when it comes down to the enforcement of these laws that are already existing, that's where we need to start focusing on. Not create new language to try to make it sound like we make a difference or we care enough and these are the languages we're going to put in there to make it sound better. What we need is actual enforcement and actually allowing the police department, the police officers, the law enforcement entity to do their job. One of the things on here that's mentioned is that police officers allow for police to arrest suspected shoplifters for reasonable cause, even if the officer did not suspect or specifically witness the crime. Now, you know, the state can implement that. There's certain exception to, because shoplifters, in a sense, are misdemeanors if they go past the $950. Now, the misdemeanor exception to the rule for police officers to arrest, if not witness, is to minors, for minors. So it doesn't really specifically tell me if these are for adults, for minors, or so forth, or are we moving forward to just allow police officers to arrest anybody that they suspect of shoplifting without them personally witnessing it. So for the public to understand, for a police officer to arrest somebody for a misdemeanor, right now, that misdemeanor needs to be reported by the private person that witnessed it. And then that private person then placed that person under private person's arrest for a misdemeanor that was not committed in the officer's presence. So my question is this for adults, for minors? Because we already have that. It doesn't really, or it's just all arrests. And how much dollars? Are we talking about $1? We're talking about $950 or over? So these are questions that, as quickly as we are trying to deal with this, I appreciate it. I think the language that's in this report is not as strong enough. But then I also feel that there needs to be more resources for enforcement of this, to add more resources for law enforcement entities out there to enforce these new requirements. If you're going to have police officers now arresting those that they didn't witness stealing from the store, what resources do we give to those police agencies so they can deal with these more additional arrests? So these are all things that if we're going to ask the state to support this new bill, these things have to be input and may be in there. I don't know, because it was how many pages that I got today? I think 29 pages, and the font is really small. And so I'm trying to read it all before the meeting tonight. But so those are the things I agree with the opposing. I do oppose this. Just because they say they're going to do these little things, it doesn't really, the end result doesn't really impact us. And we got to look at that more than anything else. And quite simply, if we really want to do something, make a difference, let's just reverse 47, reverse 57, reverse AB 109. Those are the things that are causing the problems we have today. But instead of just reversing that, we're making little amendments to language inside those propositions that really have no impact to the overall impact of our safety of the residents of Cerritos and of California. So I do oppose, and I do not like the language. It's not strong enough. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so do we want to write an opposed letter, or do we just don't take action then?
I just want to add that we did discuss Prop 47 in our meetings, and that it would have to be voted by the voters to repeal it. Right now, there really is no appetite, unfortunately, by the governor to take back Prop 47. In my council comments tonight, I will share something else. So, but just letting you know, like I said, that there are other bills out there that are trying to address Prop 47 and the unintended consequences that it has brought forward. To address the shoplifter, I believe the amendment, one of the amendments is that it will amend the penal code, section 836, to allow the arrest of a misdemeanor shoplifter if based on a sworn witness statement or video evidence. So there are amendments to this bill, but I certainly agree with you, Councilmember Vo, that we need to oppose what is currently before us, and perhaps also adopt some of the amendments that CDAA has provided us.
Thank you, Councilman Johnson. You know, that the fact that you said that providing a witness statement and video evidence, that's really no different than what we're doing now. Okay. You know, you have a private person's arrest who witnessed a crime. We still need them to sign a form. It's a misdemeanor complaint form. So it sounds like this language is just basically saying, well, misogyn will still do the same thing. And so, you know, the only reason I know that because I do this for a living, and we just look at the laws that are created at the state level, and we just sit there and thinking, they really didn't do anything different. They just called it something else. And this is exactly, that's an example right there, that this is something, they're calling something else, but doing the same thing. And I'm curious, I don't know, were you at that Contract City legislative meeting?
Yes.
I'm curious, why did they change from support, if amended, to support?
Yeah. No, that's a good question. The reason why is that the chair of the committee has been in talks with those up in Sacramento, particularly the authors and co-authors of the bill, and
election time.
I thank you, Naresh, for saying, but it's exactly what Bruce had said. I think they're trying to appease some of our legislators up in Sacramento. However, I do want to caution this council that if we do take a position of opposition, it may appear that we are opposing public safety, right? So that's why if we take a position of opposition with amendments, that we hear you guys, we don't like the bill as it stands, but we would like amendments. I just think we just need to be cautious about just saying completely opposing the bill. What are your thoughts, Bruce? You're looking at me.
It's interesting that you pointed out that they weren't supporting stronger bills. And I think, Frank, you brought up something, about our state senator. And, Bob Archuleta, I've known for a long time, and I know he's very definitely on the side of being on the side of our residents. Mm-hmm. The fact that they're playing games, I agree with our Mayor Pro Tem that they're inserting weaker words, weaker solutions, and there are stronger ways to go ahead and address this. And I know, the ones that to reverse those that were passed by the state have to be reconsidered. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, I do not want to support a bill that, in essence, makes the problem worse. And that's what I'm seeing here. So to me, to pass, I started to say something I shouldn't say, but, the bill is weak, is going to hurt us and not help us. And residents who look, a year or two down the road and see that all we did was punt it, So, I'm firm in my position to oppose. And I gave the part about unless amended, but if they don't do amendments worthwhile, my recommendation is to stay opposed. Because, the thing is that we're trying to go ahead and correct a problem. And we're on the side of safety. This bill is not on the side of safety.
I like to point out when Proposition 47 was passed, they advertised it was for public safety. When Proposition 57 was passed, it was advertised for public safety. When AB 109 voted by the legislators were passed at the state level, they advertised that as for public safety. So we need to stop playing games with the words that we use when we try to pass laws to try to confuse our voters to think everything is for public safety, for school safety, and so forth. We need to do what we need to be is transparent. And this right here, and I agree with my colleagues where there's other laws out there. Let's look at all of them. Why just this one? There's probably better laws that are trying to be passed, bills that we should be looking at. And I don't know why this one is the only one. Maybe because the retail theft topic is the hot topic right now. When you say retail theft, that's all over the news. Retail theft, we're addressing it at the state level. We're approaching, this problem, but are they really solving it? They're just trying to use these cool words out there to make it sound like they're doing something. And that this might be one of those bills that say, hey, the residents of California are sick and tired of retail theft, so let's write something up to make it look like we're doing something. And I'm sorry, but Prop 47 was told by state legislators, so whoever wrote that is for public safety. 57, and look at the problems we're having now. Even when law enforcement at the time was telling those folks, this is not going to be good for us. And I remember when AB 109 passed, 47 and 57, I remember trying to talk and lobbying my state legislator where I work, saying, you're not going to see the problems today. You'll see it 8, 10, 11, 15 years down the line. Guess where we're at today, folks? That exact same time frame. And we are having problems that we can't fix because we don't have enough resources. The police officers don't have enough tools, and police officers don't have enough support. And this right here does not, to me, show that they're supporting public safety. They're doing the same thing they did with 47, 57, and 109. So I do oppose this, and if people take the wrong message that we oppose this because we're against public safety, well, they haven't read the whole thing. Because I'm tired of the word games that we continue to play and trick and fool our voters to believe that we're passing something that's helping them. But really, we're just funneling money from one section to another so that way they can make money for another department in the state of California. And it bothers me to hear that a organization that we are part of change their position because they were in line, they want to be in line with the authors of this bill just so they can be seen in a good light instead of truly believing that they care about public safety. That's concerning to me. So I appreciate staff bringing this up, but if you're going to bring this to me, I want to read some good, grounded law reform to protect our residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify that there are hundreds of bills that come through, and being with contract cities and League of Cities as well, they're not able to review each and every bill, so they only bring forth to us, the legislative committee, those that are kind of, are more in the spotlight. So that's what I'm saying. There are hundreds of bills. Not every bill is brought to us. I only brought this forth because it was discussed at the legislative committee. And I do want to go on record, the reason why contract cities pulled their support if amended and only is sending a letter of support is because they know that there are competing bills out there and that they want to show that they are supporting a more tough on crime bill. I'm not defending them. I'm just telling you that is exactly what they're saying. So I just want to be on record saying that, and for no other reason, that why they're doing this. So, so I'm hearing from Chung, his is opposed, Bruce is opposed. I don't have a problem reviewing this
in collaboration with all the other bills too. We shouldn't just take action on this one when there's stronger bills out. Maybe we shouldn't take action on this at all if there's stronger bills out there. So it sounds like even contract cities and legal cities are thinking this is not strong enough. That's why we're going to respond to this one. But I don't know why they're not responding to others. So I would like to actually have staff bring back bills that we can look at, that we can support, instead of just this one.
So there are other bills that are in the pipeline. Like I said, I do have in my council comments one that I do want to report out that that is in the pipeline. However, there's not a position that's taken yet because it's not been confirmed yet if this initiative I'm going to be talking about is going to make it on the November ballot. But I will be sharing that. But there's always bills in the pipeline. So I think if we start setting ourselves the precedent of where we stand as a city, maybe we'll start making headway up in Sacramento.
I agree. We stand with our residents and their safety.
Yeah.
I'd like to add that we have for years taken positions on bills. And I think part of what I'm hearing is it'd be good to have our lobbyists, the Gonsalves, group, go ahead and funnel all those, current status on the, current bills, that we're interested in, for us to go ahead and once again, assert ourselves. And we've had a lot of success over the years. We've gotten away from it, especially during, the COVID years. But I think it's time for us to, to relook at it and have that discussion. But I think it'd be remiss of us not to take a position on this bill. It's here, it's current. And I would hate to see those that are trying to curry favor with the authors win by able to convince everybody not to, just to stand down, don't take a position.
I would have to agree with you there.
Thank you.
Kathy, when it comes to these reports, especially with these bills about safety and laws and legalese, do you have the city attorney and then also our captain and our public safety manager review this as well, or is this just through your office?
On this specific bill, it was just our office that reviewed it with our lobbyist and also with the city attorney. There have been over 30 bills that have been introduced on retail theft this year. So what we can do is work with the Gonsalves team and just at this point, not offer a position other than we're generally opposed to this because it's not strong enough, and work with them and see how we can maybe work with them and find the bills that maybe are more appropriate for what the council wants to do on this. And then maybe there is an opportunity to work some stronger language into some other bills, or maybe strengthen this one. But I think we need to work with the team up in Sacramento because they're constantly in the hearings with the public safety committee.
If you can do, I'll ask for consensus, but do me a favor, that when it comes to public safety items or issues with crime, I would like for you to, and it's appropriate for Robert and a consensus council, to refer it also to our two experts over there, because I don't want to be always the one that has to catch things, because sometimes I miss it, and I would like for them to provide their opinion as well, because it sounds like they didn't even get they got the agenda, but they weren't asked in regards to what's their opinion on this. And I would like to have the captain and Daryl, our public safety manager, who's got years of experience when it comes to these type of language, to give some input when the report's given to council. If I can get consensus from council for that.
Absolutely, yes.
And I'm willing to oppose it if that's what the council wants.
Do we need to have
Got a public hearing, right? Or has it been?
public comments?
If anyone would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back for a council action.
I'll make a motion to oppose unless amended.
Second.
Okay. A motion and second.
And are all votes in? If we could activate the electronic voting.
You haven't voted yet.
I didn't? Oh, sorry.
And the motion passes with a vote of 5-0.
Okay. Next item we have is the item 11A, report from the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I have one item to report this evening, and that is introduction of a new member of the City of Cerritos team. We have with us this evening Drew Schneider, who joined the City of Cerritos last week. He is our new Director of Administrative Services with the city. Drew, prior to coming to Cerritos, Mr. Schneider was the Assistant Director of Security for the Port of Long Beach. He has held several positions at the local level with the City of Long Beach and also at the federal level in different departments. And he's got a wealth of experience that is a good fit for what we need here in the City of Cerritos. As the Director of Administrative Services, Drew will be overseeing our communications, finance, budget, water billing, human resources, risk management, and our MIS IT divisions. So with that, I'm pleased to welcome him this evening, and I'd like to turn the microphone over to him to address the City Council.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, honorable members of the City Council. It is truly my pleasure to join you all tonight. I'll keep my remarks very brief. It's been a long evening. I think it's fortuitous that the Malta UN team and the Boy Scouts were here tonight. That's where I got my career start in civil service or in public service. But just a true pleasure to join Team Cerritos, and I know we have great things ahead. Look forward to serving you and the people of Cerritos.
Welcome. Welcome.
I just want to say welcome to Drew. And if you think this is a long night, you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
All right, next we have is the city council reports. I'll start with Frank.
Okay, so it's been a while since we had a regular city council meeting. I attended the State of the College at Cerritos College on March 27 with our city manager and numerous local officials, including Cerritos Commissioner Pat Patnaik. And Dr. Jose Fierro did a great job at the State of the College and let us all know about the great things happening at our Cerritos College. And on March 31, I already reported at a previous meeting, but it was just a exciting time that, you know, my mom and I met Joe Coy with many local residents, including many Cerritos residents, thanks to the invitation of the Artesia City Council. As a regional council member, as the regional council member representing Cerritos, Artesia, Hawaiian Gardens, and Norwalk, as well as the chair, being the chair of the Community Economic and Human Development Committee of SCAG, I attended the April 3 Executive Administration Committee meeting of SCAG, and then on April 4, I attended the CEHD committee meeting and the regional council meeting of SCAG. These were significant meetings leading up to this week's SCAG General Assembly because these meetings in April were my completing my 4th year as first the vice chair of the CEHD committee and then now being the chair of the CEHD committee. On April 6, I was so impressed seeing all the youth being recognized at the graduation, the youth of our Assembly District 67, which includes our city of Cerritos, being recognized at the graduation ceremony for the 2024 Young Legislators Leadership Program offered by our Assemblywoman, Sharon Quirk Silva. The 2024 Young Legislators graduation ceremony was held at the Buena Park City Council chambers. I'm proud to announce that there were high school students there from Artesia High School, Cerritos High School, and Whitney High School, just off the top of my head. But so Cerritos was there. April 9, I attended the City of Paramount swearing-in ceremony at the Paramount City Hall. Good to see my colleagues on the Paramount City Council. And then later that night, I attended the City of Lakewood swearing-in ceremony at Lakewood City Hall. And I saw you there, right, Linda? At the Lakewood, City of Lakewood swearing-in. Oh, and at the City of Paramount swearing-in. On April 11, I attended a fun Lakewood Chamber of Commerce fundraiser. This was a good idea. They had their fundraiser at the lobby of their theater over at the Lakewood Mall. So it was a nice big open space for the stage and all the food stations and the fundraising and the auctions. So it was a good time had by all. I saw some Cerritos residents there, but I think the Lakewood Chamber of Commerce had a good idea using a theater, their movie theater lobby for their event. Last week, no, 2 weeks ago, April 17 and 18, I attended the League of California Cities Leaders Summit in Sacramento. It started off with a luncheon reception with the Asian Pacific Islander Caucus of the League of California Cities in Sacramento. I'm a member of the API caucus, and it was good seeing my fellow members of the Asian Pacific Islander Caucus for networking. And we also in attendance were numerous Asian Pacific Islander state legislators at our luncheon reception. The League of California Cities Leaders Summit was at the Convention Center, and it included a reception that not only were there numerous local electeds at the reception, there was numerous county electeds at this reception that allowed us networking and best practices discussions and updating each other on what's going on in our cities. At this reception and at this League of California Cities Leaders Summit, I had a chance to meet with our Assemblywoman, Sharon Quirk Silva, and talk to her about an upcoming event that was happening in our city, which I'll get to. But I also got to talk with Assembly Member Juan Carrillo, who I had previously met through my involvement with SCAG. And he shared with me at the reception the good news that his assembly bill passed out of committee and was moving on to the next committee, and it's been being approved through the various assembly committees. But what his bill is, and this bill is supported by SCAG, the Southern California Association of Governments, it's a RENA reform bill, which we've talked about here in our city council meetings. It's a RENA reform bill to make the RENA process transparent and accurate. And this bill, which is supported by SCAG, and SCAG has been going up to Sacramento promoting and supporting this bill to legislators in Sacramento. It's moving through committees, and SCAG is hopeful, and I'm hopeful that this RENA reform bill, authored by Assemblymember Juan Carrillo, will eventually get that RENA transparency and accuracy that all of our cities are hoping for because of our failure to understand why we were assigned such a high number by the RENA, the sixth cycle RENA process, which is what we're dealing with right now, and all our neighboring cities are dealing with right now.
Frank, can I interrupt just for a second?
Yeah, sure.
On that bill, because there's other Assembly members that are supporting the bill, if I read it correctly. Are you, this would be a good time to ask if we can have consensus to support the bill?
That's
for us to look at it, and have it, come back.
Okay, so that's great. So I can give the materials to our city manager, and we can consider it at the next meeting, or
it's yours to ask for.
Okay, so I'll share the materials with the city manager, and these are actually materials that were prepared by SCAG.
Okay, I'll support it, and hopefully we get.
Thank you.
Yes.
And it just
got consensus.
Oh, great! And it just so happened that I was able to, because I was there for the League of California Cities Leader Summit in Sacramento. That's when I was able to have the meeting with Assemblymember Juan Carrillo and talk to him about his bill. I think it's 2485, but I'll get you the materials. And he was sharing the good news with me that it had, the most recent committee it was in had just approved it that day, and it was going next to the local government committee, which is actually the committee he chairs. So that as the chair of the committee, we were expecting it to pass, and it actually passed through that committee last week. So we'll be hearing this RENA reform bill that's going to promote accuracy and transparency in the RENA process. That will be looked forward to by the many cities that feel that the RENA process was a confusing, opaque process where all we got was a number that we don't know how HCD came to that number.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And then last week, leading into last week, I joined my SCAG board members, and we went to Sacramento on Wednesday last week, the 24th, to talk to our state legislators about this bill, telling them to please support this bill. And we also talked to them about our concern for the budget cuts by the governor that are going to affect housing. Right now, there was supposed to be $600 million that was originally in the budget for housing through SCAG's REAP 2.0 projects. And with all the budget cuts that the governor was presenting in his updated budget, he was going to cut that in half, meaning a cut of $300 million for these housing projects that were SCAG's REAP 2.0 projects that were awarded to the grantees. Those grantees include right here in our Gateway City COG. The Gateway City COG Housing Trust was supposed to get $5 million from SCAG, and right now that $5 million is on hold because of these budget cuts. So the SCAG team of board members last week went up there to ask our state legislators to please reconsider budget cuts for our housing, which were under the REAP 2.0 REAP 2.0 program, and we also asked them to support Assembly Member Carrillo's, Juan Carrillo's RENA reform bill. And just an example of what a day is, what a day is like when when we go up there for SCAG to talk to legislators. We talked with on April 24. We talked with Senator Dave Min, Assembly Member Mike Gibson, Senator Josh Newman. I'll get back to him. Assembly Member Isaac Bryan, Assembly Member Philip Chen, Senate Majority Leader Lena Gonzalez, Assembly Member Bob Archuleta, Assembly Member Wendy Carrillo, Assembly Member Tree Ta, and Senator Stephen Bradford. We advocated to all of these Assembly members and senators, asking them to not cut our budget for housing under the REAP 2.0 program, and to please support Assembly Member Juan Carrillo's RENA reform bill. So I just found out today, one of the good news is, I just found out today from the SCAG Legislative Affairs staffer of Kevin Gilhooly that Senator Josh Newman agreed to sponsor the bill in the Senate. So those are the kind of results that can happen when cities and local electeds advocate to our state electeds, whether here in their district or up in Sacramento. And the last thing I wanted to report is this morning I attended the president's reception in Buena Park at Porto's. The outgoing president, he's still the president, but he's going to be outgoing president later this week, is a Buena Park Council Member Art Brown. The SCAG General Assembly is this week. So he had a president's reception in his city this morning just to celebrate his year as the president of SCAG. And it was good seeing some of our local electeds from our neighboring cities like Los Alamitos and La Palma and Artesia to thank President Art Brown of Buena Park for a year of great service to the SCAG region, which I mentioned it before, it's 191 cities, 6 counties, and 19 million residents. And I think it's a great thing that Cerritos is working together with our friends in SCAG. Thank you.
Bears.
Thank you, Mayor. For those that haven't seen Art Brown, it'd be worth taking a moment to go online, look at Buena Park. Art Brown is also known as Santa Claus. He's an old friend, and so I've served with him for 15 years on SCAG also. I'm going to make my comments fairly brief. Working on behalf of our protocol, committee, getting ready for an upcoming meeting, I've come across something that kind of lets me know that we need to add a new committee or commission, but more likely a committee. When we had the discussion here concerning, dollar-ride programs, and we had Brian Tom come in and speak at length about all the issues that those with disadvantages have. And it occurred to me when I was researching other cities that there are a few that have a disability advisory committee. And I would ask for support, from the council, for consensus for us to add that to the list that would for us to look at and then vote on, later. But, at least to have something written down that we can look at and evaluate. And first, I'll wait for an answer, see if we have consensus.
Yes.
To do that.
Yes.
Okay. Then the next one is one that is a kind of a festering problem. We've had a Fine Arts and Historical Commission. and it's never functioned well. It functions very well on the fine arts part, but when you look at the qualifications for someone that can evaluate art, you know, how to place it, you know, how to do the whole process, the requirements for the historical are totally separate. And I would ask that I'd be allowed to go ahead and have, you know, Chung and I look at the language, you know, for the two to be separate, and, you know, have us evaluate it once, you know, it comes out of our subcommittee. And I believe that, you know, when you look at the Allstate building over at, you know, Liberty Park, that might be a good location to have a museum type, you know, situation. We have a lot of artwork. Kathy was just sharing with me a week or so ago.
Bruce, remember we voted down on a museum here in this city for a long time ago.
This is all of our own history.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not saying buy anything, not saying, you know, this is what we have internally. So we, I'm not even sure if, you know, what size room we would need. But I would ask that we at least take a look at it, let staff, you know, evaluate their side as we look at the structure, but, you know, allow us to go ahead and be able to have people sit on a committee where they all have similar interest. And this is one that probably shouldn't have been. And if you go back and look at the history, it was in 2000 that we did the public arts program. In 2001, council then directed to combine this type of thing, and it never has worked well. And so I'm looking for consensus.
So you want to separate the historical commission and fine arts and historical, two separate?
It's two separate. You know, the fine arts is.
But is it the fine arts are involved with historical arts right now?
No, the fine arts is within our municipal code.
So you want to create another commission,
A committee.
a committee,
A committee for the historical
part of it.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, and quite frankly, as long as I'm at it, the Property Preservation Commission, technically, when you look at the definitions, this whole area is known as boards, commissions, and committees. And you look at that review board that they do, that is technically a board. So it might be good for us to consider, you know, changing the title a little bit from Property Preservation Commission to Property Preservation Board, because it really identifies exactly what they do. It's a review board. And you know, the complaints that come in, you know, to Daryl and his staff, you know, they go through a whole process that they detailed very well. Then it comes to them to review it. And in that process is recommendations for it, and we give them the power to go ahead and do those things, you know, with the caveat that a homeowner can appeal to us. So anyway, those would be, you know, the three areas that I would suggest that we, you know, make those changes. At least allow me to, you know, and Chung to go ahead and put them in the document that comes to the council that the public gets to weigh in on. And if we want to, you know, keep it the way it is, we can. We can do whatever we want with it.
At least to start the discussion.
Yes.
Okay.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, if I may, for the record, I do believe at the conclusion of Councilmember Barrow's remarks, I did get clarity, but I want to make sure it's memorialized correctly for the minutes. I believe this is all under developing and consolidating, presenting information as part of the updates to the protocol manual, and that would include having the city manager and his team take a look at the creation of a new committee related to disabled services or disabled advisory committee.
Yeah, Disability Advisory Committee.
And then another one to have delegate Mayor Pro Tem Vo and Councilmember Barrows to take a look at bifurcating the Fine Arts and Historical Commission. That's another item. And then the third would be to change the name of the Property Preservation Commission to the Property Preservation Board.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, and these are all three for the boards, commissions, and committees.
This
handbook,
section, okay.
which will then be incorporated, into the protocol manual. But this is all trying to go ahead and
Yes.
catch up with some other legal deadlines that we have.
Thank you, and then we'll craft the wording accordingly.
Okay, since we're looking at these three, I also have, I did talk to Robert, our city manager, regarding the senior volunteers. Our city is aging, and many seniors need some help in their housing. This actually was brought up by one of the residents who's saying that another city close by to us have a program where it's city managed but volunteer program where city gets involved to help if there is a need of seniors to help in their garage or in their backyard, or this is a volunteers program, but is run by city. And so I know Robert is looking into it, so if you guys can incorporate that in there too, would be appreciated.
Can we do that under a senior advisory committee?
Sure. Yeah, whatever
So
name
the
you guys want to give.
next one
But
to
it's
add,
just to help directly to the
So
residents.
are you asking for another committee, or are you asking about to develop a program? Those are two
Well,
different.
I don't, Robert, I don't know what, did you had,
Yeah, so far we've been able to look into what other cities have done, and what we plan to come back with council consensus is information on a program,
okay.
a volunteer-based program to assist seniors. We haven't yet looked into a possibility of any kind of committee.
Can we, if that's the case, can we incorporate the committee that you're talking about, disability/senior committee, or call it a commission?
We can do that.
And then that way we can they can oversee all that combined for programs for our seniors and those with disabilities.
personally, I think the seniors is going to have a different emphasis on it from what I've been reading on that also. And the program, we've looked at the program in the past, and it never went anywhere. Council didn't really take any action on it, if I remember correctly.
You're talking about the senior program?
Yes, on both. The senior program is one part. The volunteer program is something a little bit different, and that incorporates using the nonprofits here within the city. It could be the churches, it could be a whole bunch of things. But I think if you have a senior group that they can help identify those that need help, as well as bring forward their issues. Because I know the seniors have asked about this, for years.
And our city has become a very aging population, and so they do need help. If there is one of the a spouse passes away and the other elderly person doesn't know what to do. And so I think that city should have some kind of program where either volunteers or city managed that we can go and help them.
If I may suggest that council can provide consensus direction separate from the other list of possible committees or commissions as a separate program for consideration, we can provide information at a separate time, separate from committee discussions, if there's consensus on that.
Sounds good.
I just want to add this, the County of Los Angeles also has a commission called Commission on Older Adults. And in that program, those that are on that commission actually have to meet certain requirements, like they have to be seniors on that commission. They have to be either a person that takes care of an older adult, or they have to be a healthcare provider. So I hope those are things that we can consider if we are going to create a new commission. And their commission really is to work with community-based organizations to assist seniors. They conduct public hearings, develop and administer programs and plans and policies. So I'm looking forward to this as we move forward and for more discussion.
All right, Ms. Barros, that's it? All right, Linda, your report?
Okay, we didn't come to a conclusion.
Oh, I thought we're done.
I thought there was
consensus
There was
to
consensus.
have staff come back with program or commission, right? Or both?
Well, I think it's it's just, I guess, as a minority vote, and I prefer that we look at a committee all at the same time period. So these are the three as we're reviewing all of them.
But
What's
I thought-
going to happen within the next month.
including the senior? Okay, first, what's the difference between committee and commission?
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, if I may, I do believe that under the umbrella of the protocol manual section concerning boards, commissions, and committees, there were three actions recommended by Councilmember Barrows. And then separate from those, there was consensus, and please correct me if I'm wrong, to direct the city manager to provide the City Council with information concerning development of a city-managed volunteer program to assist seniors. And I hope that's correct, so.
It doesn't work.
No? Bruce says doesn't work.
I would like to see
No,
a
no,
commission.
Personally, if we have, residents that are invested in it, they will accomplish things. And there's less work on behalf of the city to do it that way than to try and go ahead and drum up support for a program, from scratch. I mean, I appreciate the staff would, want to do that, but.
So you want to put that work in as a protocol manual too?
I think it should be. It's at least, we can always not do it, but it's going to be faster. And I want to share, just over the weekend, I had an email from a resident concerning what they perceive as illegal activity in their neighborhood. And these were a group of women that are widows, And, I dropped a note off to Robert and to Daryl, and we all kind of got involved with it. This is a lady that I've known for decades here in the city. She's been very, very active, especially for those that like to golf. She's has a golf club that she's worked with. They have 80 members in it, and they left our city and went to Long Beach. And Chung, she said she had sat next to you at a meal in the past several months. But Drew, I want to point out that, as the captain, she was thoroughly impressed with the conversation you guys had, yesterday, and the results from that. So I want to pass that on, publicly, that our sheriff's department did get involved and did a very, very good job and representing the city well. And she's looking forward to the meeting with you, I think, tomorrow. But it's ladies like her. And by the way, she's looking at being the neighborhood watch captain, because she and I talked about it at length. And she's the type of person that's active. And that's, I think, what we want to encourage. And she's also a person that might be a person to sit on this. She's that type of individual, that if she feels she can make it, be an asset, she gets involved. So, to me, I'd rather have that than try and have staff, take on the responsibility. Our staff is busy. We need to add more people. It'd be a lot easier for us to look at it 'cause it's more of a political thing.
Okay, then I guess you and Chung will, you guys.
Well,
look
that's
at
what
it.
that was what I was going to ask, is that we're already tasked to review the protocol manual to bring it back to the council. We really don't need to identify every single changes, because we are already tasked to make changes on the protocol manual with recommendations to the council for its final review. So do we even need consensus? Because if that's the case, I know that, there's different changes as well.
No, I want to say yes, just because, I'm sitting writing that part for everybody to critique. And it's got to start somewhere. And I just came to an impasse over the weekend, looking at all the different things and what goes where. And I thought.
So you're just bringing it forward for us right now as a council to give direction. Hey, as a protocol group, go ahead and look at these things as well. But we're also going to look at the whole entire protocol manual.
Absolutely. No, the protocol manual is the most important thing that we have to get done before the summer. And that's going to involve a good number of public meetings.
I guess my point is, we're tasked already to review everything, including making changes and adding things to the protocol for final review from the council. Why do we need to pick each certain?
I
You understand?
don't want to
So
take it on myself without
Gotcha.
having some concurrence to say, let's at least look at it.
Okay. All right.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah,
Then we'll take it to the, all 4 items going to go to the protocol manual review committee.
Then I did consult with the honorable mayor, members of the city council. I did consult with the city attorney. So there was consensus on that fourth item, and just for a matter of clarification, would kind of unwind it from the previous language to then add a fourth item to, under the umbrella of the protocol manual, to take a look at potentially an advisory board, commission, or committee related to, and I'm looking to the council for maybe clarification on the
What
language.
was it, Bruce, senior advisory group?
So like a separate senior
just
citizen
a senior-
advisory group?
Yes,
It'd be, committee at this point.
committee.
Okay, then, thank you, and then we'll unwind the other one and replace it with this, and it'll serve under that umbrella.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Okay, report from Linda.
You don't have anything? Or you're last? Okay, instead of reporting out my events and activities, I'd like to take time to talk about an initiative that voters may be seeing on the November ballot. Californians for Safer Communities is a group pushing to change portions of Proposition 47. This initiative, if it qualifies, will increase penalties for some drug and theft crimes. A total of 546,651 signatures is needed to qualify for the ballot, and currently the group has more than 900,000 signatures. If it qualifies, this will be known as the Homelessness, Drug Addiction, and Theft Reduction Act. June 27th is the final cutoff to make it on the ballot, and we should know in a couple of weeks if it qualifies. I have information I want to share with my colleagues. If you can pass it down, please. This initiative seeks stronger penalties for organized theft and serial retail theft. As I mentioned before, there are a lot of new bills coming down the pipeline that address retail theft, and this is just one of them. It will classify repeated theft as a felony. It will also allow multiple thefts to be combined so that repeat offenders can be charged with a felony if the total exceeds $950. This initiative will also address the fentanyl crisis that has now reached alarming levels. And this initiative will also prioritize mental health and drug treatment by addressing the root causes of retail theft. What I've given you is a copy, a fact sheet I received from Contract Cities Association, as well as the email that I received from our consultant. At this time, Contract Cities has not taken an official position, as it is their policy not to do so until this initiative is qualified to be placed on the November ballot. However, in the meantime, elected officials in the region, including myself, have signed on and joined in on the coalition, which includes the California District Attorneys Association, the California Police Chief Association, Crime Victims United, and Hope Street Coalition, to name a few. I'd like to ask council consensus for us to follow this initiative, and when it qualifies, for us to take an official position. And in addition, have the city sign on to the coalition, followed by a press release. I don't think it is enough for us to send a letter. I think sometimes it helps that we do send a press release because it lets our residents know that public safety is a top priority of this council. So that's what I'm asking for at this time from my colleagues. To follow the initiative, to see if it's going to make it on the ballot, and then if it does make it on the ballot in November, for us to take an official position to support or oppose, and to also join the coalition as well.
So you want to take a consensus for all that, or just to follow it and then decide later? Because that's a lot that,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Because we don't know what's going to happen.
Then maybe
So
I can.
I'm good with following it, and then staff can report to us, and then at that time, we can probably take action, like we,
Okay.
on the other,
We can do
bills?
that. We can do that for now, follow it.
and bring it back to the
Bring it back
council.
to the council after June 27th. Bring back, that's when we will be able to get official word.
And then on here, I'm reading that, just a little blurb here.
Uh-huh.
Governor Gavin Newsom,
Yes.
Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas,
Mm-hmm.
and Senate President Pro Tem Mike McGuire
Mm-hmm.
said they are against Proposition 47 changes.
Correct.
That's interesting.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier.
And we're worried that people think we're against public safety. And they've already pretty much said that they're against any changes. Okay. I would support
Thank you.
that consensus item.
Okay.
Clear
Yes.
consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Wu?
Thank you. I'll go ahead and refrain from reporting all my activities as well, other than the fact that just recently I attended the Cerritos Spring Fling and Fireworks Spectacular. And I have to say, every year that I've attended that, it's that if people don't know, that fireworks show is probably going to be the best fireworks show you'll ever see in the country, because they're able to gather all the new fireworks and test and train their employees in Cerritos every single year. So, and I know there's been some comments about how it wasn't, it's not the same before COVID. This event this time was advertised as what it was. It was a night just for our community to get together, a small, quaint celebration of the city of Cerritos' birthday, and to see a fireworks show, and then also to listen to a great band that the staff brought forward. And I thought it was perfect in the sense it was short, simple. Everyone gathered together, and then after the fireworks, staff had to clean up, and we were done with it the next day. I know in the past we had 3 days of this event, and I've attended the event when it was 3 days as well. I know it was a huge task for staff to bring forward to the community, but I think this event to me was almost perfect the way it was organized. It wasn't 3 days, but it was enough for the residents just to come out and have a family moment, friends moment, and share in the celebration of the city's birthday and seeing the best fireworks show that you'll ever see every year. Because last year's fireworks show wasn't as good as this one, and so forth. And it was nice to see them put the city seal in the sky for the fireworks show. And if you missed it, you didn't go see it, it was probably something I've never seen before. I was shocked. I mean, everyone was like, "Oh!" And luckily I took a picture of it, and so you need to see it. I can send it to Robert. You can pass it out to staff. But most amazing seal of the city of Cerritos in the sky by drones. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I can just add to that, besides, your photos on Facebook, my wife showed it to me the other day. Can we, in our responses to residents, whether they're in the city or not, where they, are surprised about that this happens every year at about the same time, can we, in all of our responses or whenever we have to respond, point out that this is an ongoing yearly event, and one that's really a coup that we get to have it? Because what we see there is something that you can't see anywhere. There's no program that is diverse as what this is. But I just think our response needs to, one of the emails I think we all saw, was critical of the event and to dogs and stuff like this. But this is not the first time we've done it. It's not the second or third or fourth or fifth or sixth. It's been going on for a good number of years. And personally, I'm in favor of continuing this as far as we can to the future. But Chung, thank you.
That's it. Thank you. I attended the ribbon cutting ceremony at the Beard and Papa's at South Street at Cream Puff. They got 475 locations, and the one we got in Cerritos is by corporate owned from Japan. I was just surprised that they have that many locations. I thought when I heard that, I thought it was a shaving place or somewhere, Beard and Papa's. Then attended the Cerritos Chambers of Commerce luncheon, State of the District. What else was it? on April 17 had the Transportation Committee meeting with the new committee, Transportation. Sanitation is supposed to be you. We both showed up there. On April 23rd, we had a Salaco board meeting where we discussed that, I guess, 99-cent store and Rite Aid's employees going to be losing their jobs. So I think Salaco is reaching out to them to see if they can help them. And I think also county doing the same thing. And they're working with their employees to see if they can place them to work somewhere else. What else was it? The president had a proclamation for Meritorious Marine on Saturday, and all those Boy Scout was in Cerritos College on Saturday, and I gave them all the proclamation and took a picture and took it back from them and presented them today again. What else? That's about it. I do have a question. I think I did mention to Captain Drew and Daryl regarding the speeding in our city. So hopefully we can take some actions. There's Studebaker and then 195th from Shoemaker to Bloomfield. What was the other one? 166, right? From Marquardt to Bloomfield or Carmenita, I think. So if we can, have some patrol in those areas. That's all we have. And I guess, Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the council, there are 4 closed session items for tonight's consideration. Items 12A and 12B are both conference with labor negotiators pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957.6 with agency negotiators Robert A. Lopez, City Manager, Patricia Leyva, Personnel/Risk Manager, and Joseph Larson with the City Attorney's Office. Item 12A is with to consider labor negotiations with the employee organization AFSCME Local 619, and 12B is for unrepresented employees, full-time exempt. Item 12C is conference with legal counsel for existing litigation pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9, Subdivision D1. The name of the case is City of Norwalk versus City of Cerritos, Court of Appeal case number B327413. And item 12D is conference with legal counsel for existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, Subdivision D1. The name of the case is City of Redondo Beach versus Bonta, Los Angeles Superior Court, case number 22 STCP 00143. And with that, we can recess to closed session.